My ex-husband is upset that I'm not over our divorce yet because he cheated on me.
Get over it.
And this is from the r/OKstorytime subreddit. And trigger warning mentions of DV. I, 47 female now, was married to a very challenging man for 15 years. Let's call him Judas. Be an apt name. He, 42 male, could not stop using corn and had terrible spending habits and a pretty bad temper. It wasn't always like that, but it had built up over the years. By the way, this comes from No Interview 3097. And if you want to submit your stories, go to the r/OKstorytime subreddit. So, in early December 2023, he started going to the gym and his mood started to change. He was starting to feel good about himself and paying attention to me, which made me feel good about myself. I thought that our marriage was finally turning around. This was what I had been praying for. Usually in these stories, when someone starts going to the gym and turning themselves around, they just might be cheating. Yeah. This got better and better over the next month. On January 16th, 2024, he asked me to send him a spicy picture of myself, and I did. I had done this throughout our marriage whenever he asked for one. During the day, he wrote to me several times about how he loved the picture and how he couldn't wait to get home. The next day, January 17th, he was paying a lot of attention to his phone and texting a lot. I just assumed he was talking with the guys from work. On January 18th, I sent him a new spicy picture, and he didn't say anything. I asked him if he liked it, and he said, yup. That was when things started to go so differently. Yup. Over the last 15 years, he had come in and kissed me goodbye before work. That stopped. Every day for the last 15 years, he had come home from work and kissed me hello. He stopped doing that too. I tried to put my arm around him and he pulled away. This went on for a month and it felt very weird in the house until Valentine's Day. He didn't say Happy Valentine's Day or buy me a gift. A few days later, Sunday afternoon, we were on the couch watching TV. He sat up, paused it, and looked at me. He told me that he thought we were no longer happy and he wanted to talk about getting a divorce. I was totally blindsided. He said that he didn't think we should get separated, that we should divorce. He said he never loved me and didn't feel like our marriage was worth fighting for.
Whoa.
How do you never love someone you've been in a 15-year marriage for, you know?
Yeah, like that can't be true.
It's just like lies.
Yeah.
My heart was broken. I couldn't believe it. I asked him if there was someone else and he said, yes. I asked him who and he mentioned a friend he had known since high school. Let's call her Jezebel. I wonder why. She had been the maid of honor at our wedding.
Oh, stop
Maid
it.
of dishonor.
Dishonor on your family,
on your cow. Worse than that, she had been my best friend for years until I got fat. She said, I don't hang out with fat people. Well,
oh my
I don't
gosh.
hang out with mean people.
What?
This was a surprise to me. He had mentioned to her over the last month about helping her move out of her boyfriend's house because they broke up, and that my ex-husband wanted to spend time with her sons, both adults, because they had a bad relationship with their own father. My ex said he only had 3 questions. 1, when can he move out? 2, how will we split things financially? 3, how will we set up visitation? We have a 14-year-old daughter, 13 at the time. Wow. I was devastated. He moved out the next day. He moved in with his parents about 15 minutes from us. Before he left, he asked if he could talk to our daughter alone, which I thought was fine. I found out later that he told her this was mutual, that we weren't in love anymore and had just grown apart. My ex went to work the next day and told everyone he had left me, that I had been an amazing wife, caring, loving, faithful, and forgiving, but that he didn't want to be married to me anymore. I mean, at least he did that much. Like, awful guy. But at least he didn't, like, crap talk you, you know?
True.
He told a few people that he had to wait a while, but he was going to get to be with Jezebel. Here's the thing. No one likes Jezebel. Yeah. Of course they don't. She was very manipulative and took advantage of people. My ex decided that anyone who didn't like the idea of him leaving me for her was his enemy. He told his cousin Tom, who was one of his best friends, that he had left me. When Tom told him this was the wrong decision, he cut Tom off and doesn't talk to him anymore. He only came over a week later to discuss finances. It was a trick. He had the divorce papers and asked me to fill them out with him that moment so he could file them the next day. The next several months were the worst of my life. 2 weeks before my Judas left, our dog Lucky passed away.
Oh.
We had adopted him 12 years ago. He was honestly the best dog in the world. 2 weeks after my Judas left, a friend from church who I was really counting on for emotional support OD'd and passed away alone in his room. He had been clean for a year. Oh. I was on my knees for hours a day asking God to please free me from the pain and bring my ex home. Our poor daughter Vanie was lost and I was lost. Before this, I was always in a good mood. I was never down. I just feel joy all the time. Now I was not myself. I cried all the time. I didn't smile and I didn't laugh. Vanie didn't know how to help me and seemed overwhelmed by my sadness. I had my first panic attack in my life in line at Target. I was squatting down on the floor, completely freaking out. I apologized to her over and over about her having to hear me and see me so down. During this time, my older daughter, 27 female, Coco, was cutting Vanie's hair in our bathroom with the door closed. I didn't know what they were talking about. Later that week, Vanie and I were driving to the Humane Society to look for a new dog, and she asked me a strange question. Not really strange, but worded in a strange way. I answered her, and she said, "Dad lied to me." She went on to tell me that Coco had told her that her father had cheated. I apologized over and over because I didn't think it was fair that she knew that. The next few months were so hard. Judas gave Jezebel my Amazon Prime account so she could use it? That is the worst offense.
Yeah.
Not the worst offense, but it's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Pretty terrible. When I told him I didn't want him to use it for her, he said he paid for half so he could use it for her, and she wanted free shipping.
She should just cancel any any orders that go through.
Yeah, literally. He yelled at me for 25 minutes during that call. I told him I wanted to separate our finances. I had my bank account for 20 years and wanted him to start a new account. He yelled at me for 20 minutes during that call. After that, I stopped calling him, and I didn't see him or text him. I couldn't eat. I wasn't sleeping. I lost 40 pounds in 2 months. I had asked him to come to the gym with me for 15 years. He actually joined my gym and started going with Jezebel every day. This man won't give you a break.
Yeah, that's just
terrible.
Brutal.
I started going to a new gym closer to my house, so I had no excuse to miss and started working on my revenge bod. When I saw him at our first divorce hearing in April, I looked 100 times better than him, so at least 1+. I was standing in front of him in line for the clerk. He didn't even know it was me. I turned around because my pastor had agreed to come with me. Judas looked at my pastor and then turned and looked at me and said, "Oh crap." The exact reaction I had wanted.
All right.
Now my ex hadn't texted me or spoken to me in a couple of months, too busy with the mistress. Now he wanted to start emailing back and forth. Now don't think this is because he wanted to get back together. He had one thought, and that was Jezebel. The worst part was his ignoring of our daughter. Father's Day was heartbreaking. He wrote to Vanie that night before and said, "You don't have to come over at all if you don't want to." Vanie told him she did want to see him. I dropped her off Saturday night. My ex took her out to a very early breakfast and had her back to me by 9 a.m. Sunday.
9 a.m.
Father's Day.
That is the beginning of the day.
She didn't even get to stay for Father's Day?
Yeah.
My sister-in-law said that they saw him at 9:30 going somewhere with Jezebel. He ditched our daughter on Father's Day to spend the day with his mistress.
Oh.
I was doing a lot better, weight training 5 days a week with a trainer. I was getting ready for an obstacle race later on in the summer.
Wow.
Our final divorce hearing was by phone, and when the judge asked if we were certain we wanted to finalize our divorce, we had to take turns. He said, "I guess so." Those words haunted me. It gave me some hope in my heart, but it wasn't real. Judas was turning into a master manipulator. I had a date the same night as our final hearing. The really good-looking guy from church told me that he had the hots for me and would come over and comfort me.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I hadn't made out in years. It was very nice and healing.
All right.
Yeah,
Look at you go.
I didn't think things could get worse, but they did. Vanie and I were trying to live our lives, and I was focusing on my relationship with God and with Vanie. I wanted to spend the year being the best mom and the best me. I had tried therapy, and after 6 sessions, I had to change therapists because it wasn't a good fit. Judas was a really hands-off dad, at least to Vanie. He spent a lot of time with Jezebel's kids. Even though they were adults, he had to step up and take their dad's place.
Oh my gosh.
What about stepping up and taking your own place as a father? That's when he started to tell me things, like that Jezebel's ex-husband, Robbie, was suddenly a wife herder. Jezebel decided that she would tell everyone that he had hurt her their entire marriage and that he was a child predator. I had known Jezebel and Robbie for 18 years, and there was never any indication or suspicion of him hurting her. She had told me when we were friends that she hurt him. Judas ended up telling everyone that, and people found this hard to believe. But the hate Jezebel's ex-husband campaign started. Now, this next part is going to be a little complicated. My ex had another best friend, someone he worked with named Daniel. Daniel and his wife Amanda have a party every summer, and my ex and I went to it. It was so fun, and we loved everyone. This year, instead, Daniel and Amanda were going to renew their vows. My ex was supposed to bring our 13-year-old daughter. The issue was Vanie told their father that she didn't want to meet or see Jezebel. He had respected her wishes and didn't make Vanie see Jezebel. Here was the issue. Jezebel's ex-husband used to work for the same company and was also coming to the vow renewal.
What?
This is a little complicated.
Yeah.
Judas also wanted to bring Jezebel and our daughter. He said to me, if Vanie wants to come to the party, she'll have to see Jezebel because I'm bringing her. Now, I didn't love it, but Vanie would see how awful Jezebel was. She wasn't just mean, she was disgusting. She used to talk about spicy things she used to do to Robbie in front of their kids in very graphic ways when they were just little kids, like 8 and 10. Then the real reason Jezebel and Judas wanted to go to this party came out. Jezebel had convinced my ex to have a physical fight with Robbie in front of everyone, in front of our daughter?
What?
Huh? I found this out from Robbie and other people from their work. Why are they talking about this with people from their work?
I don't know.
Judas got mad at Daniel for refusing to uninvite Robbie, and everyone hated Jezebel, so they ended up not going. Good. No one watched you there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why are you trying to stick around with people who like don't like you?
Right.
You're probably thinking that it can't get worse. Well, you'd be wrong. Oh no.
No.
The worst thing was Vanie's 14th birthday in mid-October. We were having a party and I did not want my ex to come, but he was welcome to come over the night before, Friday, or any time before the party on Saturday. All Judas said was he couldn't because his plans were already scheduled for him. That means Jezebel wouldn't let him see his own daughter the entire weekend. Jezebel had always been jealous of other women, and people warned me she'd be jealous of Vanie too. I didn't believe my ex would let this happen. I mean, how much lower can he stoop?
Yeah.
I was definitely wrong. That was verified the next week when it was my ex's birthday. He was supposed to spend it with Vanie. It was his night with her, but he canceled it to spend with Jezebel. After that, Vanie changed. She said she didn't want to see her dad for a while, and she called me from school saying she wanted to hurt herself.
No.
She stopped going over to see him and became very depressed. I called her dad and told him that she wanted to hurt herself, and he said life's tough everywhere.
What?
The next thing he said was about Jezebel not being able to be with him because she was too effed up right now.
Jeez, man.
I could see how her not seeing her dad was hurting Vanie. She was sad, and I knew she missed him. I decided to ask if he could come over and see her at our place. He asked if we could all play a game together, and we did. He said he missed rushing home to watch Christmas movies. I wish I hadn't stepped in. This would have saved me a lot of pain. Now it's November 2024, and Judas is texting me randomly over the last couple of months saying things like, I should have held your hand more. I should have been more loving and put my arms around you more. Block.
Block.
I mean, you can't probably actually block him because child, but block.
Right.
Back off. Don't let him trick you.
Don't.
He also mentioned that he could tell my body was changing from going to the gym. I am ignoring the majority of these types of messages. I don't want to get pulled in. What about that guy that you met at church?
Yeah.
Let's go hang out with him.
Exactly.
We were texting normally about daily things, but one day it stopped. Jezebel must have seen we were texting and finally decided that they could be together. This is when we ended up having to go no contact. Judas called me to tell me that he and Jezebel were going to go to an event he and our family went to every year on our anniversary. That Jezebel chose the date, but it was just a coincidence that it was our anniversary. Or maybe she did that on purpose.
I think so.
I let him call me later that week when I was at the gym. I decided that I no longer wanted to have any kind of relationship with him. He and Jezebel were terrible people. Judas said, "Since this is the last time we're going to talk, you might as well say what you want to say." I did. I said I think she's a homewrecker, and I pray all the time she gets what she deserves. He lost it. He said he hoped that God got me, and that I was happy she was hurt every day of her marriage with Robbie. That I was happy that she and her kids were starving. Her new claim that she and her adult children didn't have enough money to eat. Her adult children? Adult children?
They can work.
That I hoped he passed away and wouldn't be happy until he was in the ground. I never said any of this. I actually said, "Is this what you're actually hearing me say?" He was also mad that I wasn't dating. I assumed to ease his own guilt. I said I was still mourning, and he said, "Why aren't you over this yet?" I finally hung up on him after he went into how I was the villain in his story, and she was my victim.
Wild.
I blocked his phone number, blocked him on Facebook and any other social media. I had time to heal and get better. Now we're going to fast forward. There is a lot more, but it would take too much space. Jezebel leaves Judas right after Valentine's Day. He tells our daughter, and she tells me she left him. Now I have been dating, but just going out on dates, nothing serious. I felt like I wasn't ready. No matter how mean he had been, I still thought about my ex a lot. Now that Jezebel was out of the picture, he was spending a lot more time with our daughter. Vanie was so happy. She was getting his entire attention. Now it's April 2025, and last Sunday, Judas says he picked up Vanie around 1 to take her to dinner. I thought it was a bit weird, but I was so happy he was spending time with her. After a few hours, I was concerned because it had been a while and I hadn't heard from her. I did a Find My, and they were in a town 60 miles away.
Whoa.
I asked Evie, I think that's the older daughter, if everything was okay. She said yes, and they would be home at 10. It was a school night. Vanie came in, and I knew that something wasn't right. I said, "Did your dad have you at a new girlfriend's house?" She, of course, told me the truth. And a moment later, Judas texted me and said he had something important to discuss, and could he call me? The update was that after Valentine's Day, Jezebel broke things off. She had tricked him. She never wanted a relationship with him. She told him they were dating and he was her boyfriend, so he would buy her things. He paid her bills and bought her a truck. He also paid to remodel her old house and do the work. Judas also paid for the materials to remodel her new house and did all the work for free. He said I must be happy that he had gotten what he deserved. I didn't feel happy. Now, as soon as Jezebel was gone, he decided to do online dating. He had gone on a few dates and found this new woman. They had been on 6 dates and had known each other a month and a half, and now were ready to meet each other's kids. No. You gotta make sure that your daughter is protected in this situation. I didn't know why I was finding this out after the fact, but here we were. He decided he was moving to this town 60 miles away and wanted me to know visitation wouldn't change. Which actually, maybe they don't have full visitation. She doesn't have full custody then.
Yeah, maybe.
He also wanted me to know that he didn't regret divorcing me and that he didn't mourn our marriage. We had a few good times. This man is flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Every time he sees you and he wants to get back together with you, he's like, "Oh, I love you," or I miss you, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, "Actually, I didn't care about you at all. I don't love you."
Yeah, exactly. It's like, actually, I'm going to move far away. I'm going to lie about all this. I'm going to cheat on you.
That he wasn't the man I needed, but he was changing now for this new woman. That she was so nice and was so nice to Vanie. And if I wanted to meet her, I could. How did I let this happen to me again? How did I let this complete monster come back around and stab me again? Then he starts talking about, why am I not dating? You'd be happier if you were with someone. I was with someone before, and it turned into a dumpster fire. Earlier in the week, Judas called our daughter and said, "On Thursday, do you want to do the same old thing we do and spend the night at Grandma and Grandpa's? Or do you want to go with me to spend the night in the place that I'm moving to?" Vanie told him that she would rather go with him to his new girlfriend's house. I found out later that he didn't mean he would leave Vanie and go without her.
Oh, what? What?
Judas called me randomly the next day to say something unrelated to Vanjie. Now I had held my tongue for this past year. I had been betrayed and hurt repeatedly. I finally said what was on my mind. That our entire marriage was not bad. That at the end it was getting better until Jezebel came into it. That it was unfair of him to say things to me to hurt my feelings. Now he did gaslight me and said, "That's what you heard, but not what I said."
Ugh.
It didn't matter. I got to say my feelings, finally. I told him I wasn't comfortable with Vanjie, our daughter, spending the night at his new girlfriend's house. Vanjie doesn't know her, and quite frankly, he barely knew her. Judas said to me, "With all due respect, it's none of your business." He also told me his version of Father's Day. He was the victim. He remembers Vanjie ditching him on that day and not even texting him Happy Father's Day. Dude, you literally dropped her off in the morning.
Yeah, what? Like, you guys were hanging out on Father's Day. She doesn't need to send you another text.
I just sighed. He was never going to see anything clearly. I mean, he's never going to put any of the blame on himself. He's just going to like try and find workarounds in his brain to blame someone else.
Exactly.
So to last night, Vanjie went with him to his girlfriend's house 60 miles away. My friend from church, Alice, came over to do a girls' night so I could get some sleep. I hadn't slept well all week because of the things he said. This morning, Vanjie arrived exhausted at 6 a.m. She hadn't gone to bed until 10:30. They didn't eat until 9 p.m. Vanjie isn't used to that. She was woken up at 4 a.m. to make it back here by 5:15 so Judas could get to work at 5:30. They didn't make it. Now we have a new dog and she barks loud at the slightest noise. I wanted to see if I could get ahead of it and did a search on Life 360 to see when Vanjie would be here. They were traveling at 85 miles an hour to get back here. Whew. Anyway, she was so tired, so I said, "Go back to sleep for a bit and I'll drive you to school." I tried to wake her up an hour later and she was still exhausted. I said, "You can't miss school every Friday because you're going to visit your dad every Thursday night." Yeah, because he's 60 miles away.
Yeah.
That is when she told me she explained to her dad that she didn't want to sleep there during the week anymore. By the way, I got to explain to you that you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search OKstorytime. I did get a text right after that with Judas saying the same thing. He also wanted me to know that I'm not sure what she'll tell you, but we all had a fun time. Normally, I wouldn't even think to say that to you, but now it seems like she may fib once in a while. This was about Vanjie. That if she didn't say they had a good time, she was lying. So here's my question. Should I be over this? Should I feel fine about these things? Am I supposed to be over the betrayal? Is it odd that I want him to say he regrets what he did? Is it odd to wish it had turned out differently? And that is the end of the story.